Welcome to Building Wealth with Josh Fard, real insights for real families, where we dive into practical tips and expert advice to help hardworking families achieve financial stability and build wealth through home ownership. In each episode, Laura Lee brings you valuable insights straight from Josh Fard, founder of First Nation Financial, with over 30 years experience helping families realize their dreams of financial success. Let's get started.
Welcome back. Today, we're going to tell you a story of when a dream became a home. This is Jake and Emily's journey to home ownership. Jake and Emily had spent the last few years renting a cramped apartment in Houston, juggling student loans, car payments, and everyday expenses. They had long dreamed of owning a home, a place where they could build their future, start a family, and finally escape the cycle of rent increases. But every time they crunched the numbers, home ownership seemed just out of reach. Like many first-time buyers, they assumed they needed 20% down, an amount that felt impossible given their finances. They had managed to save a little, but nowhere near what they thought was necessary. Each time they scrolled through home listings online, excitement turned into discouragement. Then one evening, Jake stumbled upon First Nation Financial while researching mortgage options. Their website stood out because it wasn't promising the impossible. It was offering real solutions, especially for blue-collar workers and first-time buyers. The more he read, the more hopeful he became. First Nation Financial specialized in helping people secure a mortgage with little or no down payment. Utilizing lender grants, seller concessions, and state programs to make home ownership achievable. He showed Emily, and after some hesitation, they decided to call. The first step, pre-approval and financial clarity. The next morning, they spoke with Josh, the founder of First Nation Financial. From the very first conversation, the experience felt different. Instead of pushing a sales pitch or overwhelming them with mortgage jargon, Josh asked real questions. He wanted to understand their financial situation, their goals, and their biggest concerns. They expected to hear the same thing as before, that they needed years of savings and a perfect credit score. But instead, Josh walked them through realistic options tailored to their situation. "We can make this happen," he assured them. Excited but still skeptical, Jake and Emily gathered their financial documents, pay stubs, tax returns, and bank statements, and submitted them for pre-approval. And within 2 days, they received great news. They were pre-approved for a loan without needing a huge down payment. Through a combination of lender grants and state assistance programs, their upfront cost would be far lower than expected. The number on the pre-approval letter was higher than they anticipated, and that opened the door to homes they thought were beyond their reach. For the first time, home ownership didn't feel like a far-off dream. It felt real. House hunting, finding the one. With pre-approval in hand, Josh introduced them to Jimmy, a trusted real estate agent who had experienced working with first-time buyers and blue-collar workers. Having an agent who truly understood their financial situation was invaluable. House hunting was exciting but overwhelming. Each home had its own charm and its own flaws. Some were too small, others too outdated, and a few stretched their budget uncomfortably. But then they found it. A cozy 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood. The layout was perfect, spacious but manageable, with a bright kitchen, a home office for Emily, and a backyard big enough for the dog they had always wanted. The moment they stepped inside, they could see their future. Sunday morning coffees in the sunlit breakfast nook, movie nights in the living room, and backyard barbecue with friends. The excitement was quickly followed by nervousness. Could they afford it? Would someone else outbid them? making an offer and negotiating the deal. Josh and Jimmy wasted no time. They structured an offer that maximized seller concessions and lender credits, meaning Jake and Emily could even pay less out of pocket at closing. The waiting game began. Days passed before they got the call. Their offer was accepted. Not only that, but thanks to Josh's negotiating expertise, the seller agreed to cover 3% of the purchase price in closing costs. This reduced their upfront expenses even further. Their dream home was no longer just a possibility. It was happening. Inspections, appraisals, and final approval. With a contract signed, they moved into the next phase, ensuring the home was sound and properly valued. A home inspector came out to examine every detail, from the roof to the foundation, the plumbing to the electrical system. A few minor issues were found, but nothing that couldn't be fixed. With Josh's guidance, they negotiated for the seller to make some key repairs before closing. Then came the appraisal, which was crucial for securing their loan. They held their breath, hoping the house would be valued at or above the purchase price. When the results came back, it was better than they hoped. The home appraisal was far more than they were paying, meaning they were walking into their new home with instant equity. The final step was underwriting, where the lender verified all financial details one last time. This stage is where many buyers run into last-minute roadblocks. But because First Nation Financial had guided them from the beginning, their paperwork was in order. Within days, they received their final loan approval. Closing day, the keys to their future. On closing day, Jake and Emily sat in a conference room at the title office, signing document after document. Every signature brought them closer to home ownership. Then at last, the title agent slid a set of keys across the table. It was real. They were home owners. Walking through the front door of their new house for the first time as owners felt surreal. The walls were still bare, moving boxes were scattered everywhere, but none of that mattered. This space, the one they once thought was out of reach, was theirs. A fresh start in their new home. That evening, they sat on the floor of their empty living room, surrounded by unpacked boxes, eating pizza straight from the box. Their new home didn't represent a place to live. It represented a future they built together. Because of First Nation Financial, they hadn't drained their savings or struggled with an impossible down payment. They had become homeowners the smart way, with guidance, strategy, and the right team behind them. As they looked around their new home, one thought was clear. They had finally arrived. Are you ready to own a home? Jake and Emily's story isn't unique. It's possible for you too. If you're a first-time buyer wondering if home ownership is within reach, the answer is yes. First Nation Financial specializes in helping people just like you secure mortgages with little to no down payment, using lender grants, state programs, and seller concessions to minimize upfront costs. Give us a phone call at 832-955-9255 or visit our website at First Nation Financial. Let's turn your dream into reality.
Thanks for listening to Building Wealth with Josh Fard, real insights for real families. We hope today's insights bring you closer to your financial goals. And if you're ready to take the next step toward financial security, reach out to Josh and his team at First Nation Financial. You can visit the website at fnfloan.com or call 832-955-9255 to learn more. Don't forget to subscribe for more episodes, and we'll see you in the next episode.